So let's take a look what we're going to be making today. This is an 8x8 with a 4-inch spine, and we have a lot of flowers going on there and some lace. Let's open it up. You can get a lot more picture mats throughout this album than what I did, so I just got enough in there so that I could present the project. On this side, all we have is some picture mats. Oops, get in there. And this folds out, and you can see how I used the washi tape, and it really looks nice. Folds out again. And over here is a large pocket. We have a nice size fold out, but this does serve as a pocket. And when you put a picture in here, you can bring it on down back behind the foiled fancy butterfly. And I do not have a picture mat in there, but one will go in if you'd like. Forgot about that one. That will just slide right back in. This flips out. You got a place for a picture here. This is a little pocket. You can get stuff in and out of there. And a very large pocket back here. This is a large pocket, as you can see. Now this, if you don't care for this bright gold, you won't buy the gold washi tape. You'll want to get the rose gold. And the rose gold is toned down quite a bit, or get some sort of gold. But this is what I used, and it is pretty intense, even for me. But I did want to show you what that looks like. So this is the alternative, which I've been using throughout. Very intense color there. Okay, this is a fold out, multiple fold out here. And this folds out, another pocket. And it folds out again. I think you can see that. And like I said, you can get a lot more picture mats in here than I did. I had a lot left over in my scraps that I could have cut and used in this project. And I think I had somewhere in the neighborhood left of full sheets in this paper pack. I think there was like 20 pages left. So there's enough there to make maybe an 8.5 by 6.5. Okay, on this page, this is a multiple fold out. And you can fold it down, and there's a place to put a mat or a tag, whatever you'd like. And then it folds up, and again. Okay. We do have this, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to fold out, and we have a pocket here. And you can coordinate your picture mats, the decorative paper, any way you like. It's all according to taste. And then it folds down again, and I have a side pocket that will accommodate a larger picture mat. oops, I almost forgot the side pocket. There is a side pocket in here that you can get a large photo mat out of, in and out of. Get in there. And on this page, I left it alone because we're so thick over here, but you can plant a nice size picture over here. And then I have a couple picture mats in there that you can put in there. Okay, and then this is just a double pocket. I think this is one of my favorite pages. I think it's just beautiful. I like that blue. Flowers. Okay, coming to the last page, it's here. What we have here is a fold out. There's actually two under here, but there's a place to slide a mat right behind that. And then there's a place to put your picture here, and you can journal right over here. This is another fold out. Put a picture in there. And then we have another pocket. So there's lots of storage in this. And then I left this alone so you can plant your own picture in there, whatever you'd like. Over here, the final page, we have a pocket here and the large one up here. And that's what we're going to be making today. So let's move on to our materials list. Materials list. So the main ingredients is the first edition Mulberry Kisses paper pack. And I was really excited about this. This has 48 sheets in it. And it's just lovely. Some are double-sided, as you can see. And then there's some that is not. Get a little bit of everything in here. And some are textured. The next thing that we're going to need for this 8x8 is 2 pieces of medium weight chipboard. Now don't go ahead and advance forward and make your album in advance, because I'm going to show you a new way to bind, and also the hinges are going to be a little bit different. I like to change it up. I haven't done this way in a while, and I thought it'd be good to show you guys. So 2 pieces, these are 12 by 12, and I am going to use black because we will be wrapping the corners. If you have craft, that will work. We are going to be using black cardstock for the inner pages and hinges, and I like to use the Coordinations Black Cat Premium Cardstock. And you'll want to get a value pack because we do use quite a bit of this, and I'll be using this for my picture mats as well. And I think 50 sheets come in this. And this is a 65-pound acid-free and linden-free. So that's what I'll be using. You'll want several sheets of white cardstock, and I'm using my own brand, the DBS brand. It's a 65-pound white cardstock. If you are stamping your images, it's for that. And there's a couple places in the tutorial, I believe, that I actually use the white cardstock. We will be needing tyvek. Tyvek is a very strong material. It's hard to tear, and this is what we use to bind, to make sure it covers and spine and everything sticks together. Let's move on to adhesives. Now the first thing you're going to want to get is some double-sided scor-tape. And scor-tape is the brand I use. It's very good stuff. And for the most part, I'll be using the 1/4 inch wide, and it is 27 yards long. And I will be needing, probably for this 8x8 and what we're doing, it'd be safe to say to grab a couple of these. Now I'm also, for convenience purposes, I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch, but you don't have to. Glues. Now excuse the appearance of this. This has been reused because I refill it, but this is the Art Glitter Designer Glue. There is no glitter in it. It dries clear, and it's good for metal, plastics, paper, and you'll want to get the metal tip so that you don't have a mess when it pours out, and you can control the flow of just how much glue, because you don't need a whole lot of this. And this is just a refill bottle. I thought I'd show you that it's a 8-ounce refill, and it really saves money in the long run. For picture mats, and picture mats are something that you'll be doing because you don't need me for that. Everyone has their own taste and sizes, what they want to do. But this is something new that I'm carrying in the store. It's called a Zig, and it's a 2-way glue. And I'm using this one here. But what it does, and I think I'll grab a scratch piece of cardstock here. When you first get it, this tip is white, and if you press it down, the glue will eventually turn the tip blue. And it does come out blue, but then it will dry clear. Once this dries, you will not be able to see any blue. And I'm using that only for picture mats. So I'm going to just start grabbing from my pile over here and things I'm going to use. Now this is something new. It's called Foiled Fancies. And it is gold, and it's a foil. And we will be using this on our cover. I've already cut out a few because I pulled a few sheets from the pad just to take a look at how I wanted to do the cover. But let me grab one of these out here. Right here. Whoops. Well, come on, Shellie. There we go. And it's thinner, but it isn't so flimsy that it's going to fall apart. And you can bend these a bit, and you can decorate them. And you won't be using all of these, so you'll have plenty for the next project. But I did and will be using these. On the cover, I am using, and it's by Blue Fern Studios, and this is kind of it's a chipboard, and it's a gazebo. And what I've done is I've just took some white paint, and I painted this. So you'll just need one. Doilies. This is by Dovercraft, and there's 40 paper doilies, and these are medium size there, and medium to small, and that's what I'll be using. For the side closure, Dritz has a filigree hook and eye, and it's gold. There's only one piece in here, and the clasp is like this, and this is what I'll be using. Bling. I'm using the bling on the roll, and this is the single roll, and there's 10 yards in this, so you'll have plenty left over for other projects. But what it looks like out of the package, and this one is, I've been working on this roll for some time, is just a roll of, it looks like little rhinestones. And this works great in a lot of projects just to dress it up. Now here's the fun part in this project, washi tape. Now I've had drawers and oodles of washi tape laying all over the place, and I found a fun way to use these inside the album. So you'll want to use washi tape that has a good adhesive on it, and I'm going to show you an example of what we'll be doing with it. Here's an example of a fold out or a flip. But what I had done is I laid the washi tape across, then I die cut over it, and then laying paper across here, you now have a gold foiled look design, and I think it's beautiful. And again, you'll want to use good washi tape. One way to tell is if you place a piece of washi tape down. Let me grab this. This is all good stuff. If you place a piece down, smooth it out, it doesn't start curling up on you. Anyway, other ideas that you can do is, look here, I made a flower, by laying washi tape and die cutting out. I'm going to be using a variety throughout this tutorial. I'll be using some of mine that I already had in my drawer. I didn't quite have enough to complete some of the stuff I did, but here they are. This is a gold foil, and you'll want to use gold foil to get the same look. There is two types of gold. There is gold and there's rose gold. Now this is a very intense gold, and I only used it on 2 pages, and you'll see it when you saw it in the overview there. But the rose gold is probably one of the best colors of all to use, unless you like that intense gold look like you saw. But I just have a variety here, and they are available in my store. Pick and choose what you'd like. Martha Stewart punches. I will be using these 2. One is the Monarch Butterfly. It is a larger one, and it will allow you to use washi tape as well over and punch through. If you have fabric tape, the Martha Stewart punches will not punch through them. So, but anyway, we're going to be using some of these punches right on the paper and on some white cardstock, just to give a little accent. I'm also using the smaller one. Now this one actually has stamps that go with it. So I can stamp the image, I can ink it, and then I can punch it out. I'm just using this little bit. So if you have that, if not, don't worry about it. You can add your own accents. Okay, for trim punches, I will be using some of the Martha Stewart's as well as some die cutting. So you can choose. If you're not a die cutter, why use these. If you are a die cutter, you can use both or one. This is the deep edge punch. It's called Trellis Chain. Very pretty. And this is a Martha Stewart 1/2 inch punch, and it comes in the combo pack. And this is the corner piece, and I'm going to show you how you can dress up some of your picture mats here in a moment. This one is called Crochet Loop, and it is a combo pack, so it is a little more expensive because you get 2 punches. Okay, example, I'm going to show you what this looks like. You probably already saw it with the album, but this is really pretty, and it's Trellis Chain. The crochet loop looks like this, and this is how you can also, rather than going around and for pictures or picture mats or whatever, you can also use this corner punch to make really pretty pull tabs. And I just clipped it there. I'm just gonna, and you could do this with scraps. You don't need to do a full thing. All I'm going to do really quick is put a little glue on that. I'm going to place it down, try to center this as best I can. And this is just a scrap piece from a cutting. And then you can mount your picture mat here, your decorative paper. And then you have a pull tab. The really pretty decorative trims that you see sometimes in my albums. I'm using the Heartfelt Creations Regal Borders and Pockets. I love this. This just is amazing. It looks great. And for an example, look how pretty that is. This came out of here. It's actually this one. And you can mix and match by putting a background and whatnot if you want it. And then I really love this one. This is the Ornate Borders and Pockets. And that is an HCD 1780. I also use the Spellbinders Nessabilities Timeless Rectangles. And that's an S5158. And you get 4 different plates in here. And I did use this in the tutorial. Before I forget, you are going to need a package of Tim Holtz Ornate plates, and 6 come to a pack. And you get the rectangle, you get the oval, and you get it in 3 different colors. The copper, You get it in silver, and you also get it in a antique gold. For those of you that will be die cutting your flowers, this is the Tropical Hibiscus stamp, and the matching die is the Tropical Hibiscus. And this is an HCPC 3736, and this is the die HCD1796. Now you see I have some different looking flowers in here. It was all made with these. If you don't have a die cutter, you can always use the stamp and cut around, or stamp and then use the die plate as a stencil and cut it out. These are just some different flowers I was able to make, and they are going on the cover. And the leaves, you get that in here too. I used a variety of inks, and we'll go over that in a moment, but I also used glossy accents. This is the half ounce size. It's very small, and it doesn't clog as much when you get the smaller ones than the bigger bottles. So when I mean clog is if you don't use it that often, you'd probably want to get a half ounce size. And then Winkostella. Winkostella is a clear shimmer, and the glossy accents makes it really shine. And in the center of mine, as you can see, I have some prills. And any prills, whatever color you want. I think this is lemon chiffon. Anything will do. And if you don't like the prills, you can always put maybe some flat back pearls or nothing at all. It's up to you. I didn't put anything in this one. Also, you'll notice that some of my flowers actually has the little stem that comes out, so I did utilize that in some of my flowers, and then the other ones I just cut it off, and we will be using that to create some filler, so nothing gets wasted here. I did accent some of my flowers, especially the stem that comes off, with the silver stickles or ice. Okay, for the people who aren't going to be making their own flowers, I have some suggestions. I don't have the packages to show you exactly. I'll show you one that I might recommend. This one's by Prima, and they're flatter flowers, but there's a variety of different colors in here that would match in with this paper collection. The darker purples, some pinks, some of the mauve, and some of the lighter. There's also by Petaloo, and it's lilac or lavender, and they're slightly larger flowers, and they're fabric, and they're gorgeous. I used it in earlier tutorial albums, but they're a bigger flower, and those would look good on the cover as well. And I wish I had a package, but I forgot it, so to show you. So that might be an option for you. Anything will work. Just look in your craft drawer. We have a lot of flowers that could be used in this. Okay, lace. I'm going to be using a 1/2-inch lace. I'm also going to use it's approximately 3/4 inch, and these are the really thinner ones, and very pretty. And then this is about 1 3/4 inch, and I am going to use this as well. And then I did grab from my stash, these are available at my store, so I think they're really pretty. Flat back pearls. I will be using some flat back pearls in this, and also some of these. One 20-pack of flat back pearls like this will do you just fine. There's also some dome-shaped ones that might look pretty in this. Just grab some ribbon, whatever you like. I've got a very pale pink and lavender that I am going to be using, I think. Okay, this is something new, the Dove Blender Starter Set. And this is just a blender pen, and it comes with tips and extra blending medium in there. And I did use that on all my flowers. And for inks, I've used these in several tutorials and I love these colors. For the leaves, I used Olive Grove, Pistachio, and Pear Tart. Any greens will work. If you have two different shades of green, try it. And that's what I'm going to do. I've got Toffee Crunch. Okay. This is Elderberry, and it's by Memento. All of these products are. And that is a dark, wineish colored purple. Sweet Plum, one of my favorites. And Lulu Lavender is used. Angel Pink. And I'm using the Dandelion, this yellow. It's a very strong yellow, so when I do use it, daub it, I do blot it a little bit. If you are looking for a flower shaping kit, I really like the Heartfelt Creations Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit. You get the stylus tool, you get a molding mat, a piercing mat, 10 different nibs. And here's the larger one. And here is another mat, and that's the piercing, your stylus, and a variety of different tools. And these are so easy because all you do is just slip them right on in there. Whoops. Line it up. Yep, just like that. And also, this also has a tool in there to where you can twirl the edges of your flowers. And it's very helpful if you want to do that type of shaping. I didn't need it in this particular project, but just to give you a look at what this actually looks like. They do have a less expensive kit, and it's smaller. So if you're in the market for one, I recommend that. In this project, some tools or equipment. Of course, we're going to need scissors. I use two sizes. One if I do fussy cut. I got my smaller and then the largers. You'll want a ruler for sure, and a pencil. If you're die cutting, this is not necessary, but I like this. It's the tool-in-one. It actually gets your, cleans out your die plate really good, and you have your piercer to poke through things. You will want a paper cutter, and you will want a scoring board. So let's start with our chipboard. And first thing that we're going to do on each one of these is measure over 8 inches and cut. You can set those off to the side. Now what we're going to do on each one of these is measure over 8 inches and cut. And you're going to keep one of the side pieces. That's our spine. So this is what we need for the project. We got our two 8x8s, the cover and the back cover, and our 4-inch wide by 8-inch tall spine piece. These you can go ahead and put away. You can use these for another project. Let's grab our tyvek. Now, tyvek, mine are envelopes, so what we're going to end up needing is 4 2-inch wide by 8-inch long pieces. So let's get that ready. Okay, so you should have 4 pieces of tyvek that is 2-inch wide by 8 inches long. Now on this particular binding, we are going to leave a spacing in between. And you're going to probably want to leave, let's do, say 3/16 of an inch. Now to keep these straight, one thing you'll want to do is have a ruler to come up underneath. That can help you. I'm going to eyeball mine, but it's going to be about 3-inch or 3/16 of an inch gap in between. The ruler's what's going to keep the bottom straight. What we're going to end up doing, and we're going to do this together, is we are going to lay a couple strips here and here of our score tape. And then we're just going to place this right on over it. So let's get started. I'm going to get my score tape out, and this is where I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch wide score tape. While applying my score tape, I don't need the ruler for now, but I will here in a moment. And all I'm going to do is place this at the top and right there all the way over to the right hand side of this chipboard. And I'm going to place a piece here. And I'm going to do the same thing on each piece. I am going to trim any overhang on the top and the bottom though. I do want to do that. Okay, so all we're going to do is on one side, the cover, on the inside, both sides of the spine piece, and then on one side of the other cover. Now all I have to do is trim up any overhang. I'm going to get my craft knife out to help me here. And I'll have to realign this. Okay. I think I'm good there. My fingers wouldn't stop sticking to it. Okay, I'm going to grab a piece of tyvek now, and I'm just going to lay it down. And I do have some of my score tape peeking out the sides, but like I said, we're not going to worry about that because it does get covered anyway. Okay, now I'm going to do this side. Now one thing is, what's great about these video tutorials is you have a pause button. So if you need to pause it to catch up, or if you like watching first and then rewinding and doing it that way, that's always good. Okay, lay my other piece now. Okay, I'm going to flip this over, and what we're going to do is the same thing with score tape here, 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 and here. If you're using the 1/4 inch wide, you'll lay 2 pieces side by side. So let's go ahead and get this ready for the tyvek on this side. Okay, I'm going to remove the score tape. And it's time to lay it. Now you can rub your fingers in between to get that dip in there, just like me, what I'm doing, and flip it on over. Perfect. Let's get ready to wrap this. Let's set our book off to the side. In your paper pack, you will find on one side it looks like this. On the other side, it looks like this. We are going to connect these two just like that. And all you need is your 1/4 inch score tape to do this. And you're just going to lay it right onto the side and try to be straight. Make sure it's all the way down. And then we're just going to put this right on over, straight as we can, and smooth it out there. Okay, let's flip that on over. And this is where this is going to be facing up. This is the inside of our album. And all we're going to do is wrap this completely around. So what I like to do first is to center this top to bottom as best as I can. And sometimes a pencil does come in handy because we do have to apply our score tape to the other side of this. But to keep it where we want to place it, you can just draw a line to help you. It is going to be folded over, and then this way, by doing that, when you go to place this down, you can find where you should be from the side. For me, I'm going to get the corner here so I can see where the corner places too. Okay, set this off to the side. Let's flip this on over, or use this side. They're both the same. We are going to put some score tape around this area. If you're using the 1/4 inch, it's fine. For convenient purposes, I'm going to use my 1/2 inch. Now, one thing about this is when you get over to this part, you are not going to get score tape on that groove. Okay, you're actually going to come just to the left side and to the right side on all of this. So I am just going to place this as best I can, not getting too close there. And I'm leaving quite a bit of room. Because we have a lot going on, I am going to place several pieces in here, and 3 should be just fine for me. You'd like to add it if you're using 1/4 inch. If you'd like to add maybe one more row, that's fine, but I think you'd be fine just doing it like this. So I'm going to get on the middle spine area now. Whoops, I'm all caught. And I think I'll put a couple pieces down here. Make sure everything sticks down. And here we go. A lot of people wrap their albums like this. I've done it a few times in the past, here and there, over the years, but usually I do the individual wrapping and stuff, but I thought we'd do this time. Something different. Okay, so what I'm going to do is remove the score tape, and I'm going to place it down. Remember, score tape is a very strong adhesive. It is not very forgiving. In fact, it's not forgiving. So just take your time, and there's no rush on this. You just want to make sure that you get it. And I'm just going to take this all off. Okay, moment of truth. I'm just going to fold mine right on over like this so I can get it under control here, and start with my corner up here. And there are some lines in this paper to help keep you straight. I think I'm pretty straight there. Hopefully. If you're a little off, there's plenty of extra around here. So you should be able to fold your album. Okay, once you have it there, let's go ahead and run our finger in here. Careful. If you have fingernails, be very careful. You can use your scoring tool or back of a scissors, but be very careful. Okay, so you should be able to do this, and it should be just fine. Okay, for this part, I like to first fold. Make sure that I get this, make my crease first before I get going. Okay, first things first, just grab your scissors and all we're going to do is cut right across, and you can leave yourself a little bit of a thing right there because we'll just tuck that right in. You've probably seen it done this way before. And you really don't need to measure or do anything. I'm just going to go ahead and cut. Before we go any farther, with all my tutorials, I like to use scraps and everything else. Any cuttings that you do, whether it's a fine little strip or whatever, make a pile. And I call it scrap pile or a reserve pile, because you never know. Throughout this tutorial, I may be saying, oh, remember this? Grab it, we're going to use it. So I'm going to place this in my reserve pile. And you'll want two piles, one for cardstock and one for your cuttings. Let's get our score tape out. And really, all you need to do is grab some score tape. And again, the 1/4 inch will work just fine for this. I'm just going to grab this really quick. It's handy. And I'm just going to go right around the edges. Okay, actually I'm going to do this now. All I'm going to do with this is I'm going to place it half on the chipboard, half on the paper, right here, right in the groove. And I'm using the 1/4 inch to show you that this will work just like the 1/2 inch. Okay, let's use our fingers and just kind of press that down, that score tape, all the way around. Now let's lift it. I like doing one piece, it's so much easier. Oh, where did I start? Right over here. Get that lifted up. Trying to get it off in one piece anyway. Okay, so all we have to do now, I've got all the score tape off, is push in one side, push in your other side. Now for over here in the corner, you're just going to push that in a bit, and then you're going to wrap this up. Sometimes it's easier to get it to grab in the middle. Whoops. And then smooth it down. Make sure I'm pushed in there. And smooth it down. Perfect. Get that in there. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to watch over here. If I need to push in a little bit, I will. And over here as well. Hold that up a little. And I'm going to I'll start in the middle so I can make sure I get this nice and smooth it over. Now, your album should be able to shut. And look, and your seam is right down here. In your paper pack, because I want it all to match in on this particular thing, what we're going to do is grab the last sheet of this. Measure, first of all, check to see what you have and give yourself a little room. Measure from the tyvek all the way over to the other side, and I'm showing I'm about 6 1/4 inches across, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. So mine, I'm going to do it 6 1/2 wide. So I'm going to cut a piece that is 6 1/2 inches wide, and I am going to cut. So let's do that. Put this one in reserves. Now on this, we're 8 inches tall, but what we're going to do is just measure over 7 7/8 of an inch and cut it. That's just a hair under 8 inches. So the idea of this is I'm going to apply score tape to the back of this, and I'm going to watch how far up and down that will be just perfect to cover. And then once that's down, I can go ahead and move these up or use my scoring tool to score in between. So let's go ahead and use some score tape. And because this is going on the middle spine, you will want to use a little bit more because we don't want our hinges to lift. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. Better safe than sorry is what I always say, because once it's down, it's done, and pulling things back up is not fun at all. Believe me when I say that. I've done an album before, and actually I wasn't keeping track, and actually it was beautiful, and I was done with the inside and was getting ready to take some pictures, and long and behold, taking photographs, I was done with the outside, and here I open it up, and guess what? Upside down. The front of the album's in the back, and I was looking at the back end. So I had to tear things out, and that was not fun. So I always say better safe than sorry. Let's make sure, let's double check what we're doing. Okay. Especially when you have a lot of pieces, like in a mini album. Always check first what we're doing. And I'm just going to remove my score tape now. I'm going to place my piece, and I will show you that. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Make sure I'm not too far up, too far down, and not too far over, because I want this to cover. And I'm going to place that as straight as I can. Now you can use your finger. It's pretty thick now. Or you can just now bend it. You should be just fine. Carefully bend, and your creases will be there for you. That's all there is to that part. Let's go ahead and get our stuffer in here. Our page hinges. Okay, for the pages and the hinging, it is all one piece. Grab 6 pieces of your cardstock, and we are going to cut them all the same. We're going to cut them at 8 1/8 inch by 7 1/2 inches. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, on all 6 of these, you are going to do the same thing. I am 8 1/8 inch across my board. We are going to score at 5/8. And that brings me to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here. That looks like 5/8. So on each one of these, we're going to score 5/8 inch. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to fold on our score line. So let's get ready and do all of these up. Okay, I've got all 6 of mine here, and they're all scored at 5/8 of an inch. And for convenient purposes, I'm just going to use my 1/2 inch score tape here. If you are using the 1/4 inch, and I am using the leftovers here from another, what you're going to do is you're going to place a strip right on the right hand side. Do not go over your paper, and we will have to trim up any overhang. Okay, now the crease is right here where we folded. So that's the way you want to be. Go right next to it. Make sure you do not get on that score line. So we're going to do that for each one of these. Whoops, I've got something on mine stuck. So let's go ahead and do that then. I'm going to use my 1/2 inch. It's quicker for me. And I'm just going to lay my score tape right on down. I've got all my score tape down. Now before we go any further, this is where we want to check our work. Go ahead and flip this over. If you can see any score tape peeking out and around, we're going to trim it. And I've got ink all over me here. Okay, so let's take a look. For example, I've got some, as you can see, peeping out there. Don't want any to show, so I'm going to snip. So let's take a look at this, and then let's set these aside and grab our book and get ready to put these in. What we're going to end up doing is placing these on the inside of the spine all the way across evenly. So if you'd like to grab your pencil, I'm going to show you an easy way to get this to line up with this type of spine and this size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my ruler down, and I'm just going to pull this up, and I'm going to push my ruler against it. Okay, I know where that crease is now. I'm just going to take my ruler and about 1/16 of an inch from that, I'm going to make a pencil mark. Okay, that is where this hinges side right there is going to be placed, giving me a little bit of room from this area. Now these are 7.5 inches long, and we are 8 inches tall. So let's just do something really quick to help us. I'm going to place my ruler, and at the 1/2 inch from the top, I'm just going to make a little pencil mark here to help me with this first one. And I'm going to measure up 1/2 inch from the bottom here up. And that's just going to be a guideline for me to help me with this first one. So these are just going to go right on across. This is very simple. I'm going to remove my score tape, and I'm going to place it. Because I don't want my head to get in the video, at least I'm going to try not to. I'm going to turn this so you can see. And I may be a little taller this way. I think after wrapping, we're just a hair. Let's see, 7.5, 7.5. Well, it's a good starting point. So I'm just going to bring the edge of this up first, and I am going to center this. Try to look for my pencil marks there. And my first one is just going to lay. And this is where you want to start your first one to get it straight on there. And that's going to help you keep the rest straight. Okay, there's my first one. I'm going to remove the score tape off this second one, and this is where they just all come together easily. I'm going to turn this. All I'm going to do is bring this up against this, but not on top. It's going to kind of slide in there next to it. And I'm going to look at the top and the bottom to keep that straight and line it up. And that should keep you straight. going across. Let's do our next one. If you get a little bit off, it's okay. The chances are somebody noticing it is real slim once we get all our pages in. So don't worry if you're just a little bit off. You can always kind of tweak your paper just a hair to make it work. But I would not worry about it. It happens to me at least, every now and then. I'm just a little off. And as you can see, doing it like this, we're pretty straight. Well, as straight as we can be, right? I'm going to do this one. And bring it in. Now, I may have needed to measure in maybe 1/8 to get this completely aligned, right? But that's okay if I'm just a little bit off over here. That'll give me some extra room if I am in the back to do something even thicker on those pages, but I think we're gonna pretty much be centered. And let's get this last one. At least if my calculations were right with my scoring, it looks like it was. Hopefully. We'll find out. Yep, and we should have the same amount of gap. Let's take a look. That looks pretty good to me. We've got spacing there and spacing there. Flipping it this way, we're pretty straight across. If you're just a little bit off, like I said, don't fret over it. It's not a big deal, especially if this is your first album. Okay, so we have got our middle piece here. Now this is completely optional for you, but I am going to do it, so you might as well follow along. I'm going to cover this piece of black with this from my reserve, and it's going to match in. So what we're going to do is just measure over 5/8 of an inch and cut a strip, and then we're going to cut that by 7.5 inches. And what you're going to get is this. And this should lay right over without getting it on the crease. You'll be able to see where your crease is, and then not be so far over that it catches. So I'm going to lay a piece of score tape on the back of mine, and it looks like I'm going to need to use this and my 1/4 inch. I probably should have just used my 1/4 inch for this. Let's see if I got anything left on this reel. I think I have a little bit left. And I'm going to overlap mine. It won't hurt nothing. If you have to overlap, one thing that you can do, and I'm going to make sure I trim off the score tape, is make sure you press it down really good. I usually go for the bottom one first, the one that's underneath first. And I just kind of pull it out, and then I go for this one. Okay, I'm going to turn this so you can see what I'm doing, and I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully my head won't get in there. But you're going to just take your time at this to make sure that you don't get it on that crease, your score. And once it's down, it's down. And I think I'm okay right here. Let's hope. So there's just enough room, and I'm going to press that down really good. And you can't even tell. So I'm able to move mine up. It does not catch. And I'm able to flip my page still. That is optional. You do want to make sure that you press down your score tape really good, especially right here by that edge. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our cover. Oh, one thing about this before we move on, your book is going to be stiff. And chances are it's going to want to flop outwards. Here's my inner pages. Don't worry about that because we have a side closure that will get attached, that will keep that the way it needs to be. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. There is nothing on the back. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. Okay, let's go ahead and put this in our reserve pile for later. All we're going to do now is cut this by 6 inches. Go ahead and put one in your reserves. We will work with this. I am going to grab my Toffee Crunch, and I'm just going to lightly ink around these edges. Okay, how this is going to work is it is going to go centered on our page. We do want to use score tape for this. And I'm going to get my 1/4 inch out, my new pack. And we're going to place our score tape around the outside like a picture frame, and we'll go 1, 2, 3 down the middle, and I'll show you what mine looks like. This is what mine looks like, and now I'm going to remove the score tape, and I am just going to, you know what, I'm just going to lay mine right on out like this, and I'm going to center my piece. So let's do that. And we're just going to press that down really good. Let's get our gazebo ready. Grab one of these and let's go ahead and put our white paint down. And I have mine already. So let's start on that. Grab one of your paper doilies from your pack. And I am just going to eyeball this, but I'm going to just cut this right down the middle. Get my pieces, and if I have to trim up more, I will. So for the cover, you're going to need several things, and I cut mine in half, and we're going to take this one thing at a time. The first thing that we're going to want to do is grab our 1 3/4 inch lace and cut a strip to fit top to bottom. And again, if you had any, what do you call it? I'm lost for words at this point. Splintering from folding against the grain on cardstock. Don't worry about it. You can just use some of your ink right on the edge, whether it be the Toffee Crunch, or maybe you want to use some daubed sweet plum. I did mine here. I don't have splintering up here. I have some back here. But it's not going to matter. I decided we're just going to all stay together on this, and let's go ahead and ink that. We are going to glue this down, and we're going to wrap the overhang around to the side of the album. So in case you do have some, chances are you're not going to see anything. You know, it just happens. Not a big deal. It has nothing to do with good cardstock, bad cardstock. Because that was one of the things I asked the commercial printers about. And they said it's just going against the grain when that happens. Okay, so I am just going to apply some glue. And the glue I'm going to use my Art Glitter Glue because it dries clear. And I'm going to apply a line of it here, and then I'm going to squiggle some in there so that it holds. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, one thing that's very helpful when you are using glue on a fabric, because it takes a bit to have it grab. But when it grabs, it ain't coming up. Binder clips. Whoops. Use some binder clips. Just clip it on the top. And I have another one around here. And you can clip it on the bottom and let that dry. I'm going to move mine in just a moment, but we are going to be cutting a piece of bling and laying it, gluing it right on down. So I am going to do that, and then I'm going to use my binder clip. If you are using hot glue, because hot glue is always good, I like to use it with tacking flowers down. You just got to be very careful not to burn yourself, and also for that glue seepage, because once that seeps out, especially on fabric and paper, you're pretty much stuck with what you got. So just be careful. And then that will help keep that down. Flat back pearls, I'm going to be using 3 here. And for this, I'm actually going to use my hot glue gun. And I'll place my first one right dab in the middle there. There we go. I'm going to keep these all the same color. I gotta clean my glue gun. Okay, let's go ahead and let this dry, and then we're going to start working on some of this. I will be helping you with some of the flowers to give you an idea of how I made these. In the meantime, for the cover, we are going to need leaves, and I have a total of 7. And I stamped them with Olive Grove, and I did some inking around the edges, and I used pistachio to daub in there mostly, and then I just blotted some pear tart for a different color. We do use leaves. What I did is I took an 8.5 by 11 piece of white cardstock, and I just started stamping the whole thing and die cutting them out. As you can see, I've got a ton over here, and you can mix it up too. I did mix it up. I stamped with some pistachio, I stamped with some Olive Grove to give me some different color variations. Really quick on the leaves, I'm going to show you really quick how I achieved these. I know I told you what I did, but some of you, if you're new or haven't done these a lot, I stamped it with Olive Grove, and then I die cut it out. I took pistachio, and I went very heavy around the edges first, very dark around the whole thing. Then what I did was I brushed them on the leaves. Then I went and I grabbed pear tart, and I just went over it like that. Once that's done, I used my Wink of Stella pen to give it a shimmer, and then I used my glossy accents on the leaves, and then you'll let it dry, and then it will come out nice and shiny like this. Okay, our sentiment was done on the computer, a Word document. And the font you are going to want to use, and you're going to want to put cardstock in your printer. I'm afraid I can't even pronounce this without sounding rude, but I'll try. Künstler script, and the point was 36. So that's what I used, and I just printed that out on a white piece of cardstock. And then you're going to die cut that out with, here it is, and I need to clean this, with the smaller one. And this is the one that fits right on in this one. So that will give you that. Now, for the pretty frame, I'm going to show you how to do that without wasting your washi tape. The washi tape I used is this. All I did was start up in the corner here and go across the top. And what I want to do is get something to where I can just place it right in the corner here and not worry about it. So I'm going to place it going this way. And I just kind of looked to see how far I really needed to go down. And I think that's good enough. So I'll do it on this side. Kind of throw your plate down and see where you need to be. So right about here. Let's see here, right about here. And then what I did was I brought this down just a little bit more to get some higher gold in there. And I'll do it right here. See what that gets me. Now all I'm going to do, make sure it's down. There we go. All we're going to do is run this through our die cutter. And I'm just going to bring this up and kind of eyeball to center this. And I'm going to run this through the die cutter. And this is what you'll get. So once you've done that, just take your piece with your sentiment and glue it right in the middle. I'm going to get to the flowers last to show you that. But in the meantime, get out your foiled fancy butterflies. And what I did was I grabbed this size, which I believe was sitting over here. I grabbed a small one and then the next size. So I only needed 3. And to save my scissors from cutting through this, because it's not like tin foil or anything, it's a little bit more, and I'll snip a little here. But these are called Xeron, and we use them in the casting shop, and we use them in the model making business. And I've been using them for cutting wire, for cutting everything. So if you're in need of a new pair, they're a little more expensive, but boy, I'll tell you, they work really good. And I don't have to replace them as much over time. Okay, I think we are about ready. Oh, really quick with our butterflies, getting ahead of myself. You're going to want to get your glue out, your art glitter glue, something that's going to be able, if you're not using what I'm using, you'll want to get something that will work on metal or plastics and all that good stuff. Metal particularly here. I have cut 3 pieces of bling. And this is going to take a bit to adhere down. And I want to use about 3 on this one, I think. And I'm just going to place that right there. And I'm going to set this off to the side so it can dry. And like I said, it's going to take probably about 10 minutes for this to grab. You can also clamp it down with your binder clip or whatever you've got handy to hold it down in place while it dries, if that's what you'd like to do. Okay. For this little itty bitty one, I didn't do anything on that, or I'm not going to do anything on that. I've already laid this out on my cover and did this ahead of time to see what I wanted to do. And then for the medium size, I'm just going to clip off 1 piece of the bling, and I am going to just put that right in the middle to give it a little something. Like that. And I'm going to set that off to the side to dry as well. Now for our flowers. Now for flowers, all I did was to save me some time throughout the tutorial with my handmade flowers is I took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of white cardstock and I stamped the flower image all over one sheet, as many as I could get, with the elderberry color. I did the same thing with the sweet plum, the Lulu lavender, and I even did the angel pink. And it was just to save me time so I can just grab at my pieces as much as I wanted to use throughout the tutorial as we go on. So let's start with this flower, and you will want to stamp it with your sweet plum. And this is what you're going to want out of this, and I did several, like I said, several cutouts. You're going to want 2 of this size. Here's the largest so you can compare. 2 of the next size down, 2 of the size down from that, and 1 of the small. You're not going to use the largest ones. And what we're going to do is snip off each one of these. Okay, so that's what we're going to work with. You're going to grab your sweet plum and you are going to ink around the edges there. I'm going to get it all the way in here. And you're going to go all the way around like so. And making sure you get dark on those edges. Okay, after you've done them all and you've got dark around there, I have a little scratch piece that I daub off any dark. And then I'm lightly going to just hit the edges like this. As you can see, I'm just going to use what's left there. And it isn't quite as dark as what we had. And we are going to do that, whoops, on all of them. So let's do that. So this is where we should be. If you'd like, you can just brush in like this around the insides really quick. I'm just going to lay mine down and do it. And next we're going to grab that Lulu lavender. Lulu lavender is lighter, so we're just going to brush in the rest. I think I got them all. Okay, flip them all over. Grab your sweet plum, and what's left of them, just brush the back on all of them. This is what you should have. Let's get our Wink of Stella out, and we are going to apply it all over each of the flowers. We'll add the glossy accents last after the flower is assembled. I don't know if you can see the shimmer on mine or not. Maybe, maybe not, but it's there. So let's let the Wink of Stella actually dry for about 5 minutes, and then let's get our flower shaping tools out. I've got my flower shaping tools out. You will not be spraying your flowers to dampen them with any water. This will dampen it enough. Now, all I do with this, it's a blending tool, is I start in the middle and I blend out. And you probably won't see much of a difference until it is all dry, because I didn't when I was messing around with these. You might be able to see some difference now if I put up 2 different ones. One is looking a little different in color. And I just start and pulling out. Okay, let's go ahead and flip that on over. And the first thing for this one is real simple. I'm using a larger ball, and then I put the smaller one on the other end. I'm just going around in a circle for this one. Very easy. And we're going to do that with all of them. Mine are all done. I'm going to start with the largest ones here. I'm going to use the smaller side of my stylish tip tool, and I'm just going to push it down like so, and on the inside. Once I start pressing down like that, you will see your leaves will start popping up. Now, because we have that gap, what I did was I turned mine to fit like so, so that there's a gap there, gap here, and so they're off-centered. And then I used this to push it down like so. And I'm going to now use the smaller tip again, push on down there. Alright, here's the last one, and we are just going to flip that right back on over and use the smaller one to pull in those sides. And it's going to create like a little bud in the center. You're going to pinch these together, and what you can do is pull back one of the leaves on the side, add a little bit of glue there, and it will hold better. Now all I'm going to do is add glue to the back and stick that right in the middle. And there we have our flower. Now this is ready for some glossy accents, and I'm going to tear off a corner here to use it to apply. And I'm just going to squeeze some over my flower. And then I'm just going to smear it around there. Now what I'm gonna do to save time here is use just one of my extra flowers here, and I'm going to show you how to shape it. So with this one, if you notice, they're kind of curled in. You are going to, this is done with, stamped with elderberry. And then what you're going to do is take a little bit of Lulu lavender, and once you stamp it, stamp it with elderberry, go around the edges with the elderberry, and then you're going to use your Lulu lavender to lightly go over the leaves, and then you're going to finish it off by adding the pink at the ends there. I am going to use the smaller tip for this. If you don't have the very tiny tip, that's okay, use a different one. With this, all I did is I went on this side and just kind of pulled in a little bit, just like that. Drawing a line with your thing works really well. And it just kind of brings it up a little. Like so. And then all we're going to do is we are going to layer it like we did before. You are going to want one of the medium size. You will use 2 of the next size down, which is this, and 1 of the small. Now once you have everything on there, when you come to the small one, you're not going to do it like this. All you're going to do is place that down. And where are my smalls? I had a whole bunch of them here. Well, here's an example. Let's say this is the small. All you're going to do is push in here. Just go around the edges just a little bit to give it a little shape on those edges. Push it down, and because it's smaller, it will gather. And then that's the one that goes right in the middle. And you should have a flower like this. Then what I did was I put a little bit of my glue, which is the art glitter glue, and I sprinkled right in the center some prills. Then you can go ahead and once everything's dry is dab on some glossy accents. This one is super easy. Okay, what you're going to want is 2 large, and they're going to be all of these are going to be stamped with the Lulu lavender, and all I have right now is the color of sweet plum, excuse me. Okay, and we do snip off all these to make these flowers, and then we'll use these for some filler. So we're going to need 2 of the large ones, and you're going to need 1, 2. You are going to need 1 of the medium, and you are going to need 1 of the next size, and then 1 small. So 2 large, and then 1 of each of the other sizes. So I'm going to show you the shaping, and you already know how to make your centerpiece because it's the same how we did the little butt in there. So let's grab our Lulu lavender, and you're going to do this with all your pieces. And you are going to ink darkly around all the edges. Get it really good. So let's go ahead and do that with all our pieces. Once you've inked around your edges really dark, all you do now is just swipe your Lulu lavender lightly over the rest. And you'll get the back sides of these. And we're going to do all of them. Once you have that done, and we're going to shape this together, we're going to go ahead and use our blender pen to pull out, like we've been doing. Now, if you need to use when you get this, mine was empty when I got it, so I did pour some in my blender, and at first it is very wet. Then it isn't so wet, but it's good because a lot of flowers you want to moisten to shape some of them. And some flowers you don't really have to. Okay, now we're going to put that Wink Stella on there. Okay, on all of them. Let's go ahead and flip that over. And we are going to use 2 tips on this, the large and the small. Very easy, you're just going to go around in a circle first. Especially on these larger ones. As you get the smaller ones, you only need the small. Okay. Now once you have that, do not pull this all the way down to here. You're only going to start in the middle and go halfway down that petal. And you'll do it over here too. Okay. Now this is super easy. All you have to do now is right here, like go up the flower right about here. Press down and pull in. Press down and pull in. So as you can see, it starts to create this. And then when you have, what you're going to do is just start layering your different ones. So you'll layer your second one, and remember, make sure that on the second layer, you cover up that little space. And you keep doing that. And then you'll apply your glossy accents. Let's move on really quick. So flowers that you are going to need for the outside is, you're going to need this of the multi-layer. This is only 3 layers. This was stamped with the angel pink. I went around the edges with angel pink and then swiped it very lightly with angel pink. Now for the yellow, because dandelion is a very potent color, And I'm going to show you just how potent it is. We don't want that color. We want something light and soft. So if you have like lemonade or something very light, you can use that. For me, I'm going to daub off most of this. And then what you're going to be left with, light swipes of a pale yellow. I think you could see that right here. And you'll just run that on out. Then you'll do the same thing. Use your blender pen. You will layer them, and the same shaping technique here was used here. And these are 3 layers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got those. Now these are real simple. This is just one of the smaller ones, and it was stamped with sweet plum, and then inked around the edges with sweet plum. And then I got most of the ink off my dauber, and then I filled it in and put a prill. These I left on the little stems. I left them, and this one was stamped with sweet plum and then colored in with Lulu Lavender. I used the silver or ice stickles to go over to give it that shimmer. And then this one was stamped with elderberry, and then I daubed off most of the ink off that, and then I lightly swiped with elderberry, and then I went back with just a little bit of angel pink over it, and then of course the prills, and then of course the silver stickles. So let's take a moment. Oh, one more. And this was just done with the Lulu Lavender, and that's a single small all over with it. So we have a total of flowers. Let's see, leaves, I said 7 flowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So I'm going to lay them all out there for you, and I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better look. Let's make our little filler flower. And I have 3 of the largest cuttings and then 2 of the smaller ones. And the colors that we are going to have, let's get out our dauber. I still have yellow on this, so I won't need to dab into that. And we want pear tart, and we want pistachio. And we want our silver stickles. Okay, I'm going to start with I'm going to start with the yellow because it's very potent. And I'm just going to cover this right over the colors I have. I have the different purples on here, and I'm just going to lightly put on both sides. So I'll show you. And we're going to do that with all of these. Then let's grab our pistachio, and we're just going to daub on some of this green. You're going to do this with all of them. Okay, then we're going to use pear tart. Just a little bit. Okay, got mine all done. You can use your blender pen on this, and I may have done it on this one as well. But I'm going to go ahead and put my Wink Stella on there. And you're going to need some glue. Okay, grab one of your largest ones. And all I did on that was just take them all together and clip them down to a reasonable size so they're not too big. So just line them all up. Eyeball this, just come down just a little bit, see, and I'm going to snip those. Whoops. Perfect. All I did to start was bend in a little bit there, and I bent one over there. But I started just kind of layering these in a way, because in the middle we have the prills. And I'm not going to use my hot glue because it's faster, although I do tend to stick to it. It may take you a moment if you're not using the hot glue. Okay, so this is what we have. And wait until yours is completely dry. Okay, this is where you'll want your little scratch piece. This is where I'm going to use my glue here. So my pearls are in there, and I'm going to give it a moment, and then what I'm going to do is shake off the excess, and I'll pour back into my jar. And then we're going to grab the stickles. I put a lot of pearls in mine, and actually a lot of glue so that it would stick. So mine's going to take probably about 10 minutes to fully dry, but I'm going to try and do this. I have silver stickles or diamond or not diamond, ice or silver. They're kind of the same. All I did was I took it and I just went over each part of this to give it that silvery effect. Mine is still drying, but you will wait until you are completely dried, or you might ruin your dauber. Go around to the edges of yours and just dab a little of that angel pink right on the edge of these little pieces that stick out. Then you're ready to put your glossy accents on. Let's attach our cover sentiment to the back of this so it doesn't slide around. And all I'm going to do is first look at it where it needs to be. The gold top lays underneath this. We have the gold picking out the bottom. And a good way to center yourself is gold trim from that die cut is off to the right and left side. So for me, I am going to squirt some glue right underneath here. I'm going to grab my binder clips for sure. Whoops. To hold that. Now this will be pretty easy. And I'm just going to add glue right to the back of the gazebo. Give it a few moments. Probably, let's let that dry for about 3 minutes. Okay, what you're going to want to do is place this down and put your doily right underneath to the side. I have the tip of my doily right underneath this, and the rest is angled underneath, like so. And our gazebo is going to be centered. So once I know where that needs to go, I'm going to add some glue here. I'm going to worry about the top one here in a minute. I thought about just attaching it to the back of this, but it's just as easy doing this. You'll want to make sure you get some glue under all the edges so that if your album comes into contact with something, it doesn't snag it and tear it. Alright, this one. Place your gazebo back and just bring this tip to where it falls, just where it's going to hit underneath this part. And we got to be centered. So, like that. And you're going to see some of it down through here. Once you have it there, you can remove your gazebo, hold it down with your finger, and add your glue. Okay, gazebo time. We want to use a good glue. I don't know what you're using, but we're going to put glue all over the back of this. Just use something that's going to work. I see where I missed some of my glue on there. And you're going to put it to the back of this as well, because it needs to stick. Place this down. Move that over a bit. Now you can either hold it or not. If you have a piece of cardstock, the corner of it, if you have glue seepage, I found just running the cardstock, it catches any of that glue seepage, like in between here. I'm able to get that cardstock in there and wipe it up, and it's gone. Now I'm going to hold this down for a moment. If you have these, you can use them, if you can reach, to clamp down. These I got off, actually my husband got me a brand new pack of these. They're on eBay. You can buy a pack of them, and they're just plastic like clamps, and you can push this button. I use these all the time when I make albums, and they work great for reaching in. I don't think mine needs it, but just wanted to show you something you could use, or if you're wondering what these are. Okay, I'm gonna, even though mine's not popping up and it's down, I'm gonna give it probably about 3 minutes to make sure that's really down. And then we're gonna do some fun stuff by adding our flowers. Grab 2 of your leaves. I'm gonna use my hot glue gun because it's quicker at adhering. We're gonna piggyback 2 leaves. I'm gonna lay my first one, and I'm actually going to use some hot glue, and then I'll use my white glue. We're just going to stick one right down there. My white glue is where I'm going to use here. Okay. The second one gets piggybacked right like this. I think you can see that, but I'll bring it in just a little closer there. This flower is going to get laid right here. Be careful not to cover up your moments. Let's grab another leaf, and that one is going to go right here. Slide that right there. Right in there. I'll follow up with the white glue when I'm done. Okay, your filler should slide right here. And you can arrange that any way you'd like. Just goes right on top of that leaf and underneath that. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little up here. Let's grab one leaf and place it right across here. Purple flower. Now for this one, before you lay this leaf, just kind of put it over to the side and then place this down and see if it matches up good. What I'm trying to say is you don't want it way out here and put your flower here and not work for you. Put a little glue right there. I think that's good. Now for this. Grab one of your leaves and stick it out like that. Right there. Okay. We have one more leaf, and it actually goes up here, but we're not going to glue that down. Up here, find this one, or whichever one that you would like, and it goes right here. your smallest little butterfly, and this is where I trade off and use my glue. I've bent mine slightly, and I'm going to put some glue under there. It's going to take a moment for it to grab, but it just goes right here. Oops. There. Right up there. Okay. This flower we're going to stick right here. I love this cover. I think it's so pretty. Grab the single moth, goes right here. Okay, this one's going to go up here. Now this is where you take this, and the stem of this is going to go up like that. So now that you know where your leaf needs to be, you can get that down in there. There we go. Okay, the medium-sized butterfly, got mine slightly bent, goes here. Some glue on there. It's going to take a moment to dry. Our larger one goes right up here. Whoops, wrong glue. That on there. Larger one is right here. And now for this one, the last flower gets placed right here. And there is our cover. Now we will add our side closures at the very end of the album, but for now, let's go ahead and just lay this right on out. We're going to get our trim over here, and then we are going to, once that's glued down and we have our bling over here and it's dry, then we can go ahead and come back to the spine and wrap these around and glue it down. So let's cut a piece of our lace right here. Make sure that it's facing in so you can wrap around and do our bling. If you'd like to add the same flat back pearls that you did on the cover, go ahead and do so. I'm going to. I think mine's dry enough. So let's just prop this on up. Grab some of your clear glue. And let's add some glue where this needs to stay. Now you may have to go slow on this and hold it for a minute until it grabs. But you'll want to do it while it's up, so that, because if we do it flat, it might pull against the paper. And this way it'll give it some room to flex when we open the album. So that's all we're going to do here. Okay, grab one of your gold Tim Holtz Ornate plates and grab a piece of cardstock and cut a piece that's going to fit right behind. Now if you have stamps, you can stamp whatever you like, memories, moments, or do it on the computer. I am going to just use a blank one since this is my tutorial album. And you can even, you know, you can put last names of people for the family name. You can put dates, anything you want in there. So, all right, I've got mine glued back behind there. Now, cut a piece of cardstock, because this is where we're going to use our washi tape to decorate around our ornate plate. I'm using the smaller square plate, and I have a small piece of cardstock here. I'm going to grab that same washi tape that I used from the cover that's accenting through, and I'm just going to lay it across here. And then I'm going to push this down really good to make sure that it stays down. Alright, my piece here. Wrap my edges around the back. That'll work. Okay, make sure it's down really good. Center your frame like so, so you have the same amount of gold showing here and here. And center from top to bottom, wherever you need to be. And you know what? I am going to run a little bit more because it looks like I am short as far as the top and the bottom. There, that should help even me up, I think, for this rectangle. Now let's see. Yep, that'll be perfect. Run this through our die cutter. Okie doke. You should have something that looks like this. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Let me show you what I had in mind that I thought would be nice, bringing some of this color to the spine. So all I'm going to do is lay down, I'm grabbing the 6x6 piece that was in my reserves. Excuse the noise in the background. I've got laundry going. I'm just going to put the corner over here, and I'm going to do a pencil mark here, and I'm going to trim it, and then all I'm going to do with that trim piece is make a pencil mark going across, so I have a nice piece that will fit. So first let's cut it this way, and then off the little piece we'll cut that way, and then the leftovers go in reserve. Okay, let's add some glue to this. Check yours to make sure you fit first, and just center it there. Now add glue to the back of your ornate plate. And center it. Now grab the whole piece and add your glue. Hopefully I'm straight. That looks good to me. Now, optional, if you would like to place a bow up here, I think it would look really nice. I just made a little bow and put a little flat back pearl in there. And voila, there's our spine piece. And I'm going to allow this to dry before I do anything. And then we're going to move on to page 1.